Everybody, this is Eugene from Eugene and Daphne. I got a question for you. I was doing a post on my personal website, and I have a question for you. Have you ever obeyed Malachi 3:10? And if you have, put in the comments that you have. Yes, I have obeyed Malachi 3:10. I did a study on Malachi chapter 3, not just Malachi 3:10, but the actual chapter. And one verse really struck to me, and it's in verse 7. Even from the days of your fathers, you are gone away from mine ordinances and have not kept them. And the key word was ordinances. He did not say they left, or they're going away from tithing. He said they're going away from God's ordinances. And it made me think, wait a minute, what is the ordinances? And so it goes on into the next verse, and it talks about that the ordinances that he was talking about was tithes and offerings. So my question that came to my mind was, what is the ordinances of tithe? The blessings and cursings that is in Malachi chapter 3 is based on the ordinances. So what are the ordinances of tithe? Thou shalt truly tithe all the increase of thy seed, that the field bring forth year by year, and thou shalt eat before the Lord thy God in the place where he shall choose. Now that's interesting. God commanded the children of Israel concerning the first ordinance of tithe was to take a tenth of what they grew in the land, to go to the temple and eat it. That's the command. I heard somebody say, well, the tithes was for the payment. He telling them to eat it. That's the first ordinance. The second ordinance is in the next verse. It says, and if the way be too long for thee, so that thou art not able to carry it, or the place be too far from thee, which the Lord thy God shall choose to set his name there, when the Lord thy God has blessed thee, then shalt thou turn it, talking about the tithe, into money. He brought up money, but he said, turn it into money, bind up the money in your hand, and shall go into the place which the Lord thy God shall choose, and thou shalt bestow thy money. He mentioned money, but he says, bestow thy money for whatsoever thy soul lusted after, for oxen, or for sheep, or for wine, or strong drink. For whatsoever thy soul desire, thou shalt, there it is again, eat therefore there before the Lord thy God. This is the second ordinance. He told them, he commanded them now, okay, I'm making a provision for you. You don't want to carry all this, let's say corn or whatever you grow in your land. No problem. Turn it into money. Get the market value of the money. Bring the money to Jerusalem, buy whatever you want to eat, and then eat it. Now think about that for a minute. God never commanded the children of Israel to tithe off of money. There's a third ordinance, and this ordinance talks about Malachi 3:10. Verse 28. At the end of 3 years, thou shalt, now watch these verses, watch these words. At the end of 3 years, thou shalt bring forth all the tithe of thine increase the same year, and shall lay it up within the gates. And the Levites, because he has no part, no inheritance with thee, and the stranger, and the fatherless, and the widow, which are within that gate, shall come, and there it is again, and shall eat. Here's the third ordinance. The third ordinance was that every 3 years, God says, don't eat the tithe. Notice the words, all the tithes. I mean, you don't eat any of it. Bring all the tithes to the gates. And 4 groups of people are commanded to come and take the meat, take it to their storehouse so they can have meat in their house. Malachi chapter 3 verse 10 is talking about this third year. That's why you look at the same words, bring ye all the tithes. Now here's my question again. Have you really obeyed Malachi 3:10? The key of it was that he said they left the ordinance. They did not leave tithes. They left the ordinances. That's why I come to the conclusion that we have never obeyed Malachi 3:10. I gotta be honest, because when I used to look at Malachi 3:10, I never looked at the ordinance. And I did. And so I always thought that bring all the tithes, okay, we got to pay the tithes. And I'm thinking pay. I'm thinking pay. I'm thinking bring it. And my first thought with that storehouse was a church and so forth. So that was, I'm thinking pay. And I never actually looked at the ordinance myself. I really didn't. The verse 6, right before all this started, God says, I'm the Lord, I change not. Where in the Bible did God change the ordinances of tithe? The answer is that he has not. Now tell me what you think about it.